Hello everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm showing you something that has become my little best friend, and this is my outdoor thermometer that I keep an eye on. Believe me, I keep an eye on this. This helps me to know the situation on my sunroom. The windows are open, the fan is going, and I need to know right here my humidity. As you see, it's 59. It was about 70 the other day, I believe. It was kind of humid out here. The humidity is much less today. What does that have to do with growing your orchids, you ask? This is what it has to do with growing your orchids, especially if you're growing them in moss, because the moss is going to react to the humidity. Okay, this one I haven't watered for 2 weeks because the moss has been nice and hydrated. But as you see, the humidity went down. And you see right there below that root, it's starting to turn a little bit dry and brown. So I know that tomorrow I'm going to need to water this. How do you water moss? This is one thing I've been asked. New Zealand Sphagnum moss, it is alive, so you've got to remember that and take that into consideration. I don't let this dry out bone dry. Don't do that. With brown regular moss, you almost have to do that, or your roots won't have any dry out time. But you've got to remember that once this sprouts, you're taking care of pretty much two plants. You're taking care of the orchid, you're taking care of the moss. I don't like for my moss to dry out completely bone dry, because what's sprouting here needs water so that it will continue to sprout, right? Okay, look at our roots. Do you see how they've grown since yesterday? These are the same two that I showed you yesterday. As you see, this long root has gone up into the moss. That means it is very happy in its current situation. So someone asked me how to water this. What you do, this has no holes in the bottom of it. So you're going to fill it up with water till about right here. Leave it 30 seconds and drain it. If it needs to be fertilized, then do it while the roots are wet. I'll let it set for about 5 minutes until the roots really hydrate. And then I'll fill it up about this much, okay? Because it's going to be drawn up from the previous watering. And so let that set for 30 seconds and drain. Only fertilize when you see active growth. Do you see how I have active growth here and how I know? See these tips? See all this root growth? See that new leaf? Active growth. So make sure that when you're fertilizing your plants, I use very minute amounts. I use 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon of water. Minute amounts. But I use them weekly during the active growth. Also, make sure that when you're fertilizing, you've got the temperature behind you, okay? How do I explain this? Okay, if you are fertilizing at 68 degrees inside your house, you don't have the temperature to back up the bacteria growth that's going to break down the fertilizer, and you're going to burn your roots. Okay? Now out here, it is 83 degrees. There's plenty of bacteria in here, okay? There's plenty. We've got good stuff going on in here. We got algae going on in here. We got moss sprouting. We got everything going on in here. So that fertilizer is going to break down under those conditions because it's 83 degrees. When you fertilize and it's cold, the plants don't like that. They're not in an active mode enough to break down the fertilizer. Does that make sense? If that doesn't make sense, ask me questions, okay? And here's another phal I'm going to go over. There's been a lot of questions about choosing phals and pigment in phals. And okay, this is a healthy phal. Do you see how the bottom leaves are smaller than this leaf? This leaf is smaller than this leaf. And look at this big leaf. Okay, this has been taken really, really good care of. Okay, here's the deal. With each new growth, with each new leaf, they need to be larger than the year before, or something's not right. Usually it hasn't been fed right. Now, do you see how this has a red rim around this leaf? Right here. Okay, let's see the back of it. It's pretty and red. Okay, this is a beautiful, this is the Llewellyn Preppy Lip that is bright pink and white spotted, okay? When you have pink and purple orchids, what I found in my orchid collection anyway, is that the leaves, when they first start coming out, they take on the characteristics of the blooms almost. But as this gets larger, it's going to turn green. If your bottom leaves are red, that is not a good sign. That means it has missed out on some nutrition, okay? And I don't know, I don't let mine get to that point because, like I said, I fertilize mine very weekly, every week. And so it keeps me from having that problem. But make sure that as you're growing, you're noticing that as your leaves go up, they're getting larger. If they're not getting larger, then you're probably not giving them the temperatures and enough fertilizer to make them grow optimally so that that next bloom cycle is going to be spectacular for you. Please keep asking me questions. I have got beginners on my channel, beginners who are new to orchids, beginners who have never grown anything else and they're trying orchids. I am new to this growth space, so it's kind of like everybody's a beginner in some way. We're all trying to learn new things so that we're going to have awesome plants. So if you ask me questions, I will answer them. There are several questions that I'm going to be doing videos on very soon that you all have asked me, and I appreciate those questions. So you all be highly favored, deeply loved, and greatly blessed, and we'll see you next time.